Hello, everyone. This is your weekly tarot guidance for the week of July the 12th through the 18th, 2021. How do I love this week? Let's count the ways. First of all, I am very thankful that as last week ended, Mercury finally left home sign of Gemini, where it retrograded and made most of us kind of loopy. And we're past that now. Mercury is in Cancer for the next 2 weeks. We will see our wounded healer, Chiron, begin its retrograde this week, and that will take us all the way to December 19th. Of course, this is all in the sign of Aries, and there are plenty of wounds to be healed for sure. I think most of us can connect this, like when you connect the dots to when Uranus was in Aries, and Uranus really shook up your life. And now this is Chiron coming in and helping you to face all of those wounds that were created and to find a way to heal them. I really think my favorite day of the week is Monday the 12th, and it may perhaps be my favorite day of the whole entire month because we're going to have a trine between Mercury at 1 degree Cancer and Jupiter, which is currently traveling backwards at 1 degree Pisces. And, this is just so Mercury, thought and communication, right? And of course, we've moved on from all that mind-boggling crap that we had. Now, Jupiter expands things, and it shows us the big picture. And things kind of tend to blow up, maybe not out of proportion, but this is such an awesome transit that is happening because it can bring with it, see, Jupiter does things in big ways. So this can be big news. Good things are happening. It doesn't mean that everything is suddenly going to be hunky-dory, but I think that you'll find that it can really be something beneficial coming into your life at this time. On the 13th, Venus is going to conjunct Mars in the sign of Leo. Now, when it comes to Leo, we have a few things that are going on here. We have, the willingness to take a chance, like a gamble kind of thing. We have a boost in confidence that is available. We can have some drama. We can also have a great deal of creativity. So do you want to apply this to love or to money? I think it can work both ways, but it definitely, where Mars tends to be, aggressive and maybe a little too over the top and pushy, you'll find that, Venus is all about, things of beauty. So kind of, makes that a little bit softer with the Mars edge. Now, those of you who are interested in love, now remember, this kind of one with 2 planets, you can feel a couple days before and maybe even a couple days after. But it's quite possible that there's someone around that you meet. Yeah, there may be more to this story. On the 15th, the Sun will trine Neptune. This just feels so creative, first of all. And, this kind of creativity is, have you ever been in awe of someone who is able to, like they have this imagination? Yeah, let that imagination flow. Now, that doesn't make it a good day for, critical thinking, those types of things, signing papers and paying attention to the finer details. But if you want to be out of the box and really come up with something wonderful, go right ahead. You'll also find that this is, because with Neptune being in home sign Pisces, there's a great deal of empathy, compassion for others. So you may see the kinder, softer side of people on this day, and that's always a positive thing. And the final one that I have here to cover is in opposition on the 17th between the Sun and Pluto Just think about it. Opposition. Yeah, right? The week was going so good. Something is going on, and it may not be making you happy. Now, there's a number of ways that, this can play out. We've got a lot of ego that's present here, okay? Ego is your sun. Pluto is like the deep, dark, even destructive behavior, secretive, things of that nature. So where the sun wants to shine a light, Pluto wants to bury things very, very deep and bring transformation. So, you know, any number of things can happen around this time. And I would beware of people who may be a little too into you. And if you find yourself being this way, possessive, obsessive, in stalker mode, right? You might need to check yourself, just because, that this, if you're asking yourself, wait a minute, why am I doing this? That would be why. I am using the Pride Tarot this week from US Game Systems. I don't usually mention or remember to mention, but I really like this deck a whole lot. It is great for reading with. And of course, this is in celebration of the LGBTQ plus community, and a portion of the proceeds go to benefit them. This week really does have such a good feeling about it. And, it's quite possible here to, the saying or the song, I get by with a little help from my friends. It's quite possible to be collaborating with people. And, you might be, how can I put this? You might be traveling one path where it's solo projects, but you may be traveling another where, you have plans with groups of people. You may even be the leader, okay? And that's all well and good. And I apologize, my voice doesn't seem to want to go any louder today. Now, when I look at this, I see a couple different parts to this week, because there's a crossroads that's here and deciding what you're going to be doing. But did I mention assertiveness? I feel like there is a sense of asserting yourself, all right? There's a whole lot of clarity that's available. Getting that whole entire, see, Mercury went direct a while ago, but sometimes when you pay attention to how you feel during Mercury retrograde, you may notice that, the lingering, tidbits of it are there through the shadow period, and you're trying to deal with it. And then even some when the shadow's over and Mercury is still in that sign, which isn't always the case, but it was this time. So you kind of have to get that out of there and then just start, slicing and dicing and getting your way through everything. You are definitely moving on and moving forward. This September thing is here again. It's very, very strong. All right. There's definitely, an adventure on the horizon. Are you in it yet? You may be, but sometimes I see, because everything is constantly changing, the direction kind of takes you to, or the adventure, I should say, kind of takes you to a spot, and the universe says, whoa, hold up a minute, okay? Just hold up a minute. You need to take a different approach with this, find a different way to do things. And this is all about your, like I said, there's something that's beginning. It's the birth of something, and you're doing it. It requires it, like, when you look back, say like by October, you're going to realize you're definitely not in the same place, and you've come really, really far through those two things. What are they? Progress or persistence? I don't even know what they are, right? Persistence and determination. And this is really going to give you a greater sense of self, of independence and self-worth. Now, some people think that, see, because I mentioned assertiveness before, that when you behave this way, that means that you're alone. And it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. You'll find that when you feel better about you, and that when you feel that you can stand on your own 2 feet and you have your own path can involve other people, but it makes for better relationships. And this is a lesson that's very difficult for some people to learn. This week, of course, is taking you into full moon territory, and by the end of the week, you'll begin to feel it. Now, it's a very special full moon because it's the first of 2 in the sign of Aquarius, and it's going to happen on the 23rd. So, of course, I'm going to have, special guidance just for that full moon, but you're going to feel it this week that's what I'm saying, as you are approaching it. And it's going to happen at 1 degree Aquarius. And then next month is going to happen on the 22nd of August at 29 degrees Aquarius. So that's always a big deal when we see that sort of thing happen. Wow, I am telling you, that trine between Mercury and Jupiter that I mentioned, it really is something special. I see wonderful things happening for people this week. Like I said, they don't solve all your problems, but what I do see is, some form of good news or opportunity that's coming your way that allows you to put, like that stressful rut that you're in, to put it behind you. Okay, so this is a time where you can create and enjoy a rebirth while letting the more negative stuff go its own way, and you focus on what you have to work with. I think that you'll find that there's quite a bit there. All right, and skill wise, I have to say, when I observe, I am an observer, and people are very much, and with some people this is because of the pandemic, and I hear it daily on the news, that people aren't going back to the old jobs that they had. They have decided they're going to, we'll call it, better themselves by learning new things. Maybe it's something that they've always wanted to do, or something that they feel will make them more secure, because I see that security here. So I just think that you're getting out there and you're making life happen. It's just amazing to me. Now, there is success that's available here, and there is that emotion as we approach the full moon, because full moons do bring endings. So we may be feeling the loss of something, and I'm not saying you're going to lose something, but it's sometimes we reflect on those things, really trying to find some form of harmony this week. See, I really don't think that if there are sad moments this week that they are overtaking the week, because Jupiter is always so full of optimism, and it just increases everything that it touches. Pay attention to relationships and what you have going on. You may be trying to restore balance, mend fences. Remember, Chiron is going retrograde, joining Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, and Jupiter. That brings it to 5. So, this is one of the reasons that when we talk about things, we're always looking a little further down the road, because we need to get through what the retrogrades are about. And this is usually called retrograde season, because these planets that we're talking about right now, they retrograde every year. And at some point in time, we have most of them simultaneously. So when we start to come out of it, that's when we see the results of what is happening. So don't get discouraged when you hear me mention things, that are happening in September, October, because that's when, they'll be going direct. However, everywhere I look, I see, the success, the optimism. It's kind of like a change in luck, a change, yeah. Like, what do they call it? A change in, not fortune, because it's not like you're winning, but you could be, all right? But there is some huge, I need to turn over another card. I want to say a revelation, as if something is exposed, blowing the lid off of things. Because, we have had during the, I'll get it out, during the Mercury retrograde, we had several squares between Mercury and Neptune, really confusing a lot of things, all right? And then we have this week ending with this opposition with Pluto. Right? Yeah. And Pluto tends to dig in and get those secrets. So I think we're going to see some things where we couldn't see clearly before. And, maybe someone was trying to pull the wool over your eyes, that you'll be figuring it out. I want to say by the 22nd, you're really taking charge of something, finding solutions, putting an end to something that has been a source of worry, where you have felt absolutely powerless. Yeah. So, this is one of the most interesting months of the year, if you ask me, like so far, because it's a month where you are focused on, and a lot of it is behind the scenes as well, but focused on, what you want, what you dream about, what you want to make happen. Like I said, taking charge. So, you're not going backward, okay? That's important. You're not going backward, and you're kind of operating under the radar, trying to pace yourself, trying to not to step on any toes, so to speak. All right, sometimes I think of it as walking on eggshells, but I don't feel that way. It's just you can keep those around you from, getting in your way, or, who don't have the same ideas as you or whatever. You can keep them at bay, and you just, like, okay, all right, and you don't engage. And that's always important to remember. Like I said, I think you're really going to feel whatever's coming with this full moon. Now, early next week, late next week maybe, there is just this, all of a sudden, okay, so you make the change, you got a lot more to juggle. You have to keep up with, you have to flow. Do we ever go from one part of life to another with a clean break? Not usually. Think of like if you were moving, and if you're moving and you're packing over here, and maybe you're unloading over there, so you're trying to juggle a couple things at one time. I am willing to bet that you're really feeling the energies this week. Gosh, I hate to say that because I feel them all, and it sometimes can be difficult, and I have to plan my life around them, but in this particular case, I see a whole lot of busyness, like really refining and fine-tuning, even tuning everything out so that you can focus on what you need to get done. And there is, it's like this overcoming. I'm telling you, you're making things change by the time the sun enters Leo. So, I don't know what you have going on, what you're working on, but I would love to hear about it. And, there are lessons that are in here, and the challenge is what has been difficult. Boy, when I do this, I am always in awe of the cards and how they, stack up, and they amaze me. All right. There are relationships from the past that are here. It's interesting because they could have at one time been troublesome and there was nothing you could do about it. There was some sort of conflict, but there is like a holding on to, I would say, not giving up, perhaps, is what's there, but it's not the key thing that's going on. I think you're really, really busy. Okay. Now there could be something, but what do? We do not engage. So if something does happen as we're approaching the full moon and someone else gets a little testy with us, we don't have time for it. We're not going to say, see you, hate to be you, but probably just say, have a nice day, and talk about what a beautiful day it is, or something like that. Well, Mercury may not be its happiest in Cancer, but you're going to be so glad that it is. And, there's been a lot of frustration, I want to say, around your desires, okay? But you had that new moon in Cancer, and it was an important one to be setting forth intentions. And, they need to be, I want to say, cultivated, if that's a good word, all right? But there's so much. This is an eventful week, all right? It's an eventful week. I know that there are some of you out there who have no real clue what's going on in the world, and it would be a good time to find out, okay? Because it may very well affect decisions that you need to make throughout the course of this year and next year. If you are uninformed, how can you really choose what it is you need to do? So I feel like you're really taking charge this week, but not charging forward. It's more like when you rein things in and you're really, really putting things back on track. I think this week, next week, you're really feeling that. And, it feels much more settled, much more like within your power. It isn't perfect, don't get me wrong, because it isn't where you want to be yet. But to have a sense of, being in control and slowing the pace, like if life felt like a runaway train and you were able to slow it down, okay, and bring it to, a normal speed and where you had control of what was going on. That would be one way of describing your week. Let me see here what we have to finish out this reading. Yeah, all good things. It really looks exciting. We are in it. Yeah, get the words out, Cecilia. We're in this thing where I always try to explain it to you, the different cycles that are involved and the different parts. And if we go from, a new moon to a full moon, or a full moon to a full moon, the events that happen in between. And I would say like September, October, probably late September into October, there's bringing in that balance, making life more fair. All right. And definitely some good news coming at that time. And I think it has everything to do with what you're doing right now at this moment. So this is a special, special week, and I wish you all the best. I want to thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you again real soon. Take care.